Middle School Concert of the Year. Let's give a round of applause for the students for making it this far. My name is Matthew Fang, and I'm one of the orchestra directors along with Mr. Bruce Topping. And this is my first year here at Kraemer Middle School, and I just want to say I feel so welcomed by the community, by the students, by the faculty and staff. It's we truly have a wonderful music program here, especially the orchestra program. And we're just so ready to play our hearts out for you all tonight. If you've been to our past concerts, I know that you really see just the progression of the level that students have been playing. And I'm telling you, it's just really fantastic to see the growth of the students. And we're just so excited to be here and present our final concert to you all tonight. So in front of you, we have the Kraemer String Orchestra. We have prepared 4 pieces. First piece is titled Do-Si-Do by Richard Meyer. And we're going to have 2 folk songs. One is titled O Waly, Waly, which is a British folk song, also known as The Water is Wide. And followed by Sakura, a Japanese folk song, also known as Cherry Blossom. And then we're going to conclude with a piece titled Dragonhunter, which is one of my favorite pieces. I remember playing it when I was middle school also, so this is kind of like a full circle, playing it and teaching it to these middle school students. So this is the Kraemer Middle School String Orchestra. Hope you guys enjoy. Thank you very much. Just give us a few moments. We're going to transition into advanced orchestra. Again, thank you guys for coming out to support the student. Appreciate it very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very exciting evening because it's our grand finale concert. Now, what a year it has been. Starting with the winter concert, and then we had the spring concert. Now we have the grand finale concert. In the meantime, we also had a festival, and then next week, or week and a half, we have Knott's Berry Farm. Okay, well, I always gotta brag about the orchestra that just played. Not because I'm compelled to do so, but because they're so wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please give it up for Mr. Matthew Fang and the wonderful string orchestra. That's what a string orchestra is supposed to sound like. Thank you, Mr. Fang, and all you talented young students who worked so hard this year. And then we move on. We move on to the advanced orchestra, and I'm very proud of them. We have a couple of soloists here tonight on Vivaldi's Spring. And in case you didn't know, Vivaldi taught most of his life in Venice, Italy. And if you've never been to Venice, Italy, you gotta go someday because it's really fun to go and visit there. I was fortunate enough to take an orchestra over there, and we got to play in some pretty spectacular cathedrals. So without any further ado, we're gonna go ahead and start our fourth period orchestra program. And we're gonna have somebody in the orchestra announce the selection. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Shrita Akapali, a violinist in advanced orchestra. The first song we'll be playing tonight is Spring by Vivaldi and arranged by Richard Meyer. In this song, it represents the awakening of nature and the renewal of life after winter. It showcases springtime's joys, through themes of birds chirping, springs flowing, and the first stirrings of life. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy it.
I'm a bass player, and I don't think I played my first bass solo. Well, I started a little late. They didn't have a bass. I wanted to play bass, but I got this solo when I was, I think, 17. How old are you, Jordan? He's 14. Let's hear it again for our soloists. So now I shall let the next student introduce the next selection.
My name is Valentina. I play the bass, and for our next song, we're playing Conquistador, by Brenda Baker Monday. A conquistador is like a Spanish explorer, and the song is supposed to sound like the journey the conquistador takes. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
That's a little side note. We're going to go ahead and play this next selection. I'm sorry to tell you that I couldn't find anybody in the orchestra who wanted to announce this song. That's kind of like the first time nobody wants to announce a song? Okay, fine. So I called peanuts.com, and their agent said they got somebody who can come and introduce the song for us. It cost a little money, but not much. Like, it was literally peanuts. It's a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, Snoopy!
He says hi everyone. Our festival orchestra will be performing Linus and Lucy. I think he said it best. We hope you enjoy.
Come back. He did such a great job. I feel like I should give him some, maybe a bone, but he has to answer 2 questions. Hey, Snoopy, what's on your house? Good job, you got the first one right. Did you say roof? Okay. And what's the roof made of?
Bark.
Thank you so much, Snoopy.
Do you think things are coming?
What? Oh. looked on my data and never played it. So tonight's the first night, even though this song has been around for many years, we've never played it. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Yeah. Can you see my eyes? Oh, you do find I'm a nice guy. Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of food to scare y'all's neighborhood. And whoever shall be found without the soul for getting downtown must stand and face the hounds of Howl and rot inside a shell. The foulest stench is in the air, the dank of 40,000 years, and grisly ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your fate. And though you might to stay alive, your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the fever of the thriller. Back in the back. One more orchestra to go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we'll be performing the first movement of Haydn's String Quartet in D minor. This is the second quartet from his Opus 76 collection, which is also known by a few nicknames, including the Fist and even the Donkey. Surprisingly, this was Haydn's 61st quartet, written later in his life when he was showing off his skill. The nickname Fist comes from the opening motif that sets the tone of this movement. On first violin, we have Evan Kim. Elisha Kim on second violin. And I'm Emmy Alba on viola.
students this, but my philosophy with teaching music, and I know Mr. Holmes, the same way, is let the music speak for itself. We don't need to talk about, we love to talk about our orchestras, but when it comes down to it, let the audience, let the community, let everybody listen to your orchestra, and they will do the talking for you. And I'll tell you what, that was spectacular. Let's hear it again for us. Remarkable. Yep. All right. Well, we're having a wonderful evening, and we've got Knott's Berry Farm on the 28th of May, which is a lot of work for the directors, but you know what? In the grand scheme of things, we like doing our hard work. It's not easy being a music teacher. You know, a good music teacher where you're taking kids to festival, and Mr. Phan earned superior ratings with this orchestra, and so did I. And it's a lot of it. Yeah, I think that's something we can all clap for. The students. That's it. We teach, but the students earned it. And now we're going to Knott's Berry Farm. We're going to have a great time there on the 28th. It's a wonderful way to celebrate the end of the year. So we have some t-shirts coming in next, I believe it's Monday, so we'll be distributing those on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And then we go to Knott's on the following Wednesday. So I would like to do a couple of thank yous tonight. First, first I have to thank my new and brilliant colleague, Mr. Fang. It's the truth. And then I saw a wonderful new administrator. I think he's new this year to our school. First or second year anyway. Whenever I see him, he has a smile on his face and just such a positive, uplifting spirit. And he's wonderful to be around. And that's the kind of person you want to work with and have as administrator of school. Mr. Chad, hello. Assistant Principal at Kraemer. He's here tonight. Please welcome. Very nice. Man, very nice. And then we've got all of you. Are you ready, students? We got all the parents. Talk to your parents, please. They're amazing. Our students are amazing. Thank you, parents, for being here, supporting your students. You know all that stuff. But we really mean it when the music teachers say, thank you so much for all you do for your students and supporting them. It's very special to have a music program like we do in Valencia, and I'm partial to Kraemer, but you know, the district, this program is strong throughout the whole district. And then we want to thank our wonderful sound and lighting technicians tonight, Seth and Alicia. Also, any staff members who are here tonight, I can't see out there who they are, but let's go ahead and thank them, please, staff members. Oh, you know what? Staff members also include, we have some wonderful, due to Proposition 28 money, which supports music programs, we have some wonderful coaches who support us both with the advanced orchestra as well as the Mr. Fang's orchestra. Let's go ahead and thank them tonight. They're wonderful. They're fantastic. Last but not least, we have an amazing person who is going to actually drive one of our trucks and coordinate the loading of the instruments and all sorts of things, being my assistant during the Knott's Berry Farm Day. And he's here tonight. He's always here. That's Mr. Steven Rodriguez. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I remember I was with an orchestra about 25 years ago. The Orange County Junior Youth Orchestra, not the symphony orchestra, which was great, but the Junior Youth Orchestra, and you forgot to introduce me. I kind of do it. Okay. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But anyway, without any further ado, we're gonna go ahead and have the chamber strings play two selections, and I will let them introduce the pieces. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying the grand finale so far. My name is Jian.
My name is Linus. And for Chamber Orchestra's first selection of the night, we will be playing highlights from the Beauty and the Beast,
Featuring Madeline Chang on the cello and Lena Sa on the violin. This song is a tribute.
I'm the beauty, unlike you.
Well, I can be the beast of your beauty.
Highlights including Belle, Beauty and the Beast, and Be Our Guest. Please enjoy. Thank you.
one more selection for you. And it's called Incantations. Like a lot of these songs, at least this one, the students said about 5 weeks ago, can we play Incantations? I said, oh, that's a tough piece. Yeah, it's good. And I said, okay, let's give it a try. And like all my orchestras, I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Fang started, I would say, 20% of his orchestra at the beginning of the year, I think maybe 20 didn't really have any experience playing. And I listened to them day after day, not every day, but maybe a couple times a month. Listen to them. And the only way to get a big sound like Mr. Fang gets is if they're in tune. And his orchestra plays in tune. He's a professional musician. He's a professional violinist. So, and I'm a professional bass player. We know what to bring to our orchestras. We're lucky because we've had the experience of playing professionally. A lot of music teachers haven't had that experience. And it's one thing that I think we're both grateful for that we get to bring to our orchestras is this, how to be a professional and how to really get the job done. So I appreciate that with Mr. Fang, and I appreciate that with your students, my students, everybody. And we come to the end of the evening, a wonderful evening. I knew this was going to be an incredible concert, and I hope you've really thoroughly enjoyed tonight. I have. And for our final selection, we're going to play. A student's going to introduce us.
Hello everyone, we hope you're enjoying the concert, and so for our final selection, as Mr. Topping said, we'll be playing Incantations by Richard Meyer. This song is known to be energetic and hard-driving, as it starts with a haunting intro but later turns into a fast-paced song. Incantations also features our soloists Evan and Elijah Kim on the violin and Emmy Abba on the viola. We hope you enjoy.
a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chad Hole. I'm our assistant principal and very proud staff member at Kraemer Middle School. I was a former teacher. I am thrilled to be back home at Kraemer. It's amazing to be part of such an amazing community, our amazing kids, and of course our staff members. And every once in a while, we get information from a parent, a letter of appreciation that really stands out. So Callaway and I received this letter a few days ago, and I want to share it. If you're okay. So, this is a letter of appreciation from Mr. Topping. It goes, to the principal and administration of Kraemer Middle School. We are writing on behalf of the orchestra parents to express our heartfelt gratitude for Mr. Topping, whose dedication and passion have deeply impacted our children, as well as the school community. As the orchestra director, Mr. Topping has provided far more than music instruction. He has been a mentor and a consistent source of encouragement, teaching not only musical skills, but also discipline, teamwork, and a deep appreciation for the arts. His commitment goes far beyond the classroom. He volunteers his time for after-school rehearsals, and even brings snacks to the students using his own resources to foster a warm and supportive environment. It is this kind of selfless dedication that makes Mr. Topping truly exceptional. While his quiet efforts may sometimes go unnoticed, their impact is lasting. We have witnessed firsthand the tremendous growth in our children under his guidance, musically, personally, and emotionally. Teachers like Mr. Topping do more than teach. They inspire, uplift, and shape lives. On the award for Mr. Topping, it says, with appreciation to Bruce Topping, thank you for the dedication and inspiration you have shared with countless students. As a passionate music director, you have made a difference in our lives. And a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, to learn and never be filled is wisdom. To teach and never be weary is love. With thanks and gratitude, Kraemer Middle School Chamber. We appreciate you lending your children to us as students to guide. We appreciate your support, and our staff, as always, is awesome. Thank you.